So, somebody mentioned that this lady started out with $0 on hand. Not probably a good way to start your business. So, how are you going to finance your business? There's two ways to do that. You can borrow the money. My clicker's giving up on me. Or maybe you have some money underneath your mattress, or a nest egg or a golden egg sitting on your kitchen table. Equity or debt? Two ways to do it. Equity would be your personal savings. Maybe you have a rich uncle. I put government down there tentatively. It could be something like what you're participating in now, where you might win a competition or something. An angel investor. Some of you may have heard of crowdfunding. That's something I'll show you here in just a second. Why would you want to finance your business this way? With your own money. What are the benefits?
You
Don't owe anybody anything. It's interest-free, right? It's less costly, obviously. You're more likely to get a loan if you can show that you've saved some money and that you're investing some money in this. And you're more likely the business itself is more likely to succeed. Okay, so there's ways that you can finance your business, and I'm going to go over some of these with you. A line of credit. That's something that you might be able to get from your local bank, okay? I would encourage you to not lean too heavily on those, because when banking tightens up, or when the economy tightens up, that's what happened in 2008, when we had all this upheaval with the economy. Lines of credit got shut down. The banks said, "Nick, we're not doing those anymore." And it didn't matter that you were paying them on time. It's just one of the first things that the banks will yank. So be careful about leaning on those too heavily. Credit cards. Credit cards are a way for you to keep cash flow, keep the actual cash in your business by putting items on a credit card. Now, obviously you do not want to carry a balance on a credit card if at all possible, because it's extremely high interest rate. But it is a good way if you can pay it off monthly to keep track of your business expenses. Supplier's credit. Don't overlook this one, because maybe you can get the supplier to let you have that merchandise to put on your shelf for 30 days. Do you have that in the hairdressing? Will they let you all?
Some companies do and some don't.
Some don't. Ask. Doesn't cost anything to ask, "Hey, can I have this merchandise for 60 days and then I'll pay?" It gives you an opportunity to sell it. Keeps cash in your business. Yes.
Yeah, the competition between suppliers is amazing. I just asked. There's so many, when I was looking at kayaks, you can get people bidding against each other. They want your business bad. Most of the people we talk to are willing to give us a year financing, okay? Run the whole season with their kayaks and pay them at the end of the season.
Wow. Yeah, so you never know. And like you said, ask. Business term loans, that's what we do. That's what banks do. That's where the payment's the same every month. Leasing, maybe leasing's an option for you. Check into that. And then SBA guaranteed loans, those are still around, maybe, but they do require, I think, 20% down payment for those, but they are out there. Crowdfunding, I mentioned that to you. That's another avenue, and you may have heard about these two. The potato salad crowdfunding campaign. This guy got $50,000 to buy ingredients for potato salad. So, and then this cooler here is pretty cool. It's one of the record breakers for Kickstarter. And then we have loan funds available. We're not near as flashy as the crowdsource funding, but we do offer loans up to $200,000. Our interest rate is tied to prime, so it's at 6 1/4. It's fixed. You do have to have collateral with our loans. We don't do any just signature loans. But if we can put a value on it, we will consider it. If your business plan makes sense and everything else is in line. We also have a 9th District Tourism Loan Fund. If you know of anyone that's looking, or if one of your businesses is tourist related, that money's at 3 1/4, so it's super low rate, but it does have to be tourist related, meaning people are coming here to your business from out of the area. And restaurants do not, unfortunately, fall into that category. I've been asked that before. Credit. I'm not going to get too in depth on credit tonight because next week I'm gonna have the first section and we're gonna talk about credit. But please make sure that your credit is in order if you're going to look to borrow money. There's nothing more embarrassing than sitting across from a loan officer and him say, "What's this?" And you're like, "I had no idea that was on there." I would encourage you to do that even if you're not looking for a loan. Get your personal financial situation in order because you never know. When you start a business, you may have to borrow money and you want to make sure that you've already taken care of that. But I'll talk more about it next week. Now, I want to, yes?
Yeah, before you move away from the financing, two things. First of all, we get calls at least once a week, I need a grant for my business. Now, that's not gonna happen. Okay, grants, most people think grants, somebody just writes you a check and you do what you want. That's not the case. That's called a present. Grants, for all intents, with rare exception, and there's some highly specialized grants for the Department of Defense and some other places for working with government. But grants for for-profit businesses went the way of the unicorn. Okay, they just aren't there. And in fact, the nonprofits these days, because of tight financial situations, who relied on grants are dropping like flies. Because they became so dependent on this grant money coming into their nonprofits, and it's just not there anymore. So, if you're thinking in those terms, forget it, number one. Number two, when you're going for money, any financial institution that you're gonna deal with is gonna require that you have some, as Cindy said earlier, skin in the game. You're not gonna give you 100% loan for what you wanna do. You're gonna have anywhere from 10 to 30% invested of your own money, one way or another, before they'll talk to you. Because, I mean, when's the last time you went in and bought a car and, oh yeah, we'll only owe money for, 6 years, no money down? That, you hear that these days because they're really desperate, but it just doesn't happen. A bank is not going to borrow, they'll lend you money if, for example, you go south after 6 months and you have a whole bunch of inventory they can't sell. They're not gonna go into it to a leasing proposition up front. So, when you do your business plan, when you're looking for money, in the back of your mind, you're gonna have to put some of that funding in there too. So the amount you're asking for, you may have to get 80% of. Okay? Make sense?
Thank you, Tom. Okay, we're going to talk about, again, this all plays back into the business plan that you're going to need to define your product or service. What are you going to sell and what niche are you serving? So I kind of asked in the beginning, who is your customer? And someone said everybody. Well, no, wait, anybody that drives. So we narrowed it down a little bit. Let me give you another example of what I'm talking about. If I told you that I sold auto parts, who is my customer? Who's my target market? What customer base? I sell auto parts. Anybody that owns a car. What if I told you I sold Ford auto parts?
Anybody who owns a Ford.
I narrowed it. Well, what if I told you I only sell vintage Mustang parts? Shrunk it down,
Yeah.
didn't I?
Muscle car enthusiast.
I'm sorry?
Muscle car enthusiast.
Yeah, I shrunk it down though, didn't I? I was right here and I went like this. So, you need to think about that when you're defining the product or service. What are you going to sell and what niche are you serving? Now, I'm going to drill down even farther into this. Your product or service, there has to be a demand for it. It can't just be some great idea that you've thought of, and if you've not done any research on it, you're probably not going to be successful. And again, customers are pretty selfish. You need to solve a problem for them, or there needs to be a greater demand than there is supply, meaning there's people wanting this and there's just not enough supply. Or you're going to make something better than or different from what's currently available. Or maybe you've just come up with this great new thing like the Beanie Babies. Remember when they were all the rage? Who would have thought? And you just created a new market space. So I used the wine opener up there, the electric. I'm too tight to buy one, but that's one where it's battery powered. And so to me, that would solve a problem of having to open a wine bottle. The iPhone 6 is always the newest, greatest, better than, supposedly, and that's how Apple keeps growing ridiculously. All right, so we know there has to be a demand for it. What do these companies have in common?
This stuff right there by the wayside.
Went out or on the verge of going out.
Gone out of business or on the verge of going out? What happened to Blockbuster?
Netflix.
Netflix.
Online.
Why am I going to go in there and pay $3.50 or $4 for a video when I can go and rent one for $1 at Redbox? Or better yet, just watch it on Netflix online and don't even have to leave my house.
To me, these people, a little bit different, they did not reinvent themselves.
This one,
Well, they're doing better, okay, but most of these got stuck where they were at.
They didn't change with the
Reinvent
industry,
what
yeah.
they were trying to do.
Kmart, at least, they still sell American products like Craftsman tools. And some of you probably realize that, you know, you can go to Walmart and get a tool, wear it out the first time you use it. Craftsman tool, lifetime guarantee. So they are supplying something a little bit different than you would see in other places.
I personally hope they don't go away because then Walmart's going to have just about a monopoly on us. But yeah, I think what I'm trying to get across here is changing with the time. You've got to change as the industry is changing, as your industry is changing. So just be aware of that. And there's an actual product life cycle. So let's use 8-track tapes, for example. They started out, I'm dating myself. It's funny when I do this in Sonia's group with her young entrepreneurs, they look at me, 8-track tape. So 8-track tapes were all the rage, and then they went on the decline. What happened after the 8-track tapes? Cassettes. Same thing. What did we have after cassettes? DVDs. Now what's happening?
It's all digital.
MP3. Same thing with VHS tapes. Well, it goes back even to beta. Do you all remember
Laser
beta?
discs.
Yeah, and then we went to DVDs, and now what are we doing? It's live stream. So this is just going to happen. It's a natural life cycle. Where are you where is your product or service that you're offering? Where is it in here? I think personally that Redbox came in somewhere right around here. And they're still going strong, and so it's not to say that you have to be over here, but just be conscious of where you are in the natural cycle for your product or service. And then you need to do a competitive analysis. Who are your competitors? Where are they? And have you heard the term SWOT, S-W-O-T? That's just an abbreviation for, yes, I'm sorry.
One quick question about the product life cycle. There are certain things like, you know, getting your car fixed or getting your hair done or buying cupcakes that's never going to go away. So how would that, you know, relate to the product life cycle? Is that just something, hair always grows and cars always break down?
I can think of one with regards to sweets. People today are more concerned about the fact that obesity and diabetes is so high. There are people who are vegans. They don't do anything that has cows in it or meat of any kind, so you have to have fudge that's dairy-free for them.
Or gluten-free, too, is another thing.
If you're doing cakes, you gotta have gluten-free. Or you lose a huge clientele.
Or if
That's
the
a good
prices of your product, like sugar, for
Yeah.
example, goes up, you're like, how am I going to pick a bill for the sugar?
Yeah, I actually had that with my Christmas order. They cut your order in half because chocolate rose in price.
Wow. So that's an example of industry, maybe not directly, maybe it's not hers directly, but it is affecting through supplies or what have you. And consumers change in what they want. I mean, it's not necessarily that DVDs quit working. It's just that we're moving, you know, the times are changing. And you have to change with them. You can't just stay back here and say, well, no, I'm not doing that. I worked with a guy, he was 80. He was sure computers were just a thing. They were a fad and they would go away eventually. So he never learned how to do it. He wasn't going full with that because that'll go away. So, you know, that's kind of the point I'm trying to get across there. SWOT, write this down. Strength is what S stands for. Weakness, opportunities, and threats. What you're wanting to do is you're wanting to look at what the strengths are of your business, what the weaknesses are, and then those are the things that you have control over internally. And then what opportunities does your business have? And what threats are there to your business? I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Determine your target market. We've talked about that. I know I sound like a broken record, but you've got to determine who your market is, who your customer is, because one thing is you're going to figure out how you're going to market to that customer, and you've got to figure out where that customer is so that you know where you're going to market to them. So, are you going to be doing business to consumer, or are you going to be doing business to business? Do I have any business to business in here? Somebody said IT. Will you be dealing with businesses or the end partners? Okay, well that'd be business to business, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we're ultimately driving revenue from DC.
Well, you're going to start talking computer talk. I'm not going to know what you're talking about. You're going to have to bring that down. I'm not a techie person. Anyone else in here doing business to business? Possibly. Okay. And that's going to come into play when you're figuring out where you're going to market your business. What's the personality behind your consumer? Example, you used the cupcakes. That was a good example. Is your consumer health conscious? Is your consumer, I know the drinks that you have are people that are health conscious, workout conscious. And then do you see any future changes in your target market? And I just used examples here. Are you targeting to business, to children, to families, to people that are into fitness? That's important in determining what your target market is. Then you're going to need to figure out where your product or service is going to be positioned in the market. Are you going to try to be the cheapest? Are you going to have the best customer service? Maybe you're going to be greener, healthier. Maybe yours is going to be easier to use, more convenient. I will go to CVS and pay a little bit more to be able to pull up to the door, go in, not have to fight a crowd like at Walmart, and get what I need and get out. I'll pay a little bit more, and I know I'm paying more, and I'm extremely tight. But that to me is the convenience is worth that. So think about that when you're thinking about what your position's going to be in the market. Do you have to be the cheapest? You don't. If you're better, then. And then pricing, you must be competitive and it must agree with your positioning. And it needs to be profitable. Tom, I know you have looked at this before. People say, well, I'm not going to pay myself anything. Okay, that's all well and good, but how long are you going to do that? So that's really what you call a hobby if you're not going to try to make money off of it.
One thing about pricing, and people have a problem with this. My example is, does anybody go through the drive-thru and get the drink at Mickey D's or Hardee's or anything?
I don't.
Cheap. Anybody else do that? Okay. How much they charge you? $2? Huh?
House is very cheap.
Yeah, well, what, $1.29? Okay. You know how much it costs pals to make that drink? How much?
20 cents.
8
About
cents.
8 cents, yeah, 8 cents. Now, is that an outrageous profit margin?
Yes.
Not for their team. They've got something you're willing to pay multiples of what it's worth because it meets your needs, whatever that is. Pricing is something, it's what the traffic will bear. That is not immoral or unethical, okay? Gouging is, but what the traffic will bear. Another example, going out and buy a used car, there are three of them, one's 10,000, one's 15,000, one's 20,000, which one's the best? What's your first thought? 20,000. Not necessarily so. Okay? So keep that in mind, that there's a perception of value for your product as well with the outside consumer. If you go in and say, I'm gonna do it for 25% less than everybody else, someone's gonna say, why? Well, that's good for business. Are you really not that good? What's the problem? So, if you're as good or better than anybody else, you got a product that's as good or better than anybody else, why would you give away product? Or break even on it? Don't. Don't do it. And think about, I've had clients say, I can't charge that much. I say, why not? Everybody else is. And people are willingly paying you, you're telling me you're gonna have better customer service, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do this. Why would you charge less? This is huge, and a lot of people, a lot of companies go out of business because they can't get their head around thinking that profit is not a four-letter word. Okay, it's a six-letter.
No, it isn't, is it?
Yeah, how about it? So keep that in mind when you're doing your marketing and your positioning too.
It needs to
Because-
all agree, yeah, so if you're providing superior service, it's okay for you to charge more for that, but everything better be in line with that. You better have a
Right.
better product, you better have better customer service. Marketing, another part of marketing is the packaging. And I'm giving some examples here. This is one of the entrepreneurs, Fetching Apparel. Her motto is they give 20% of their proceeds to help animal shelters. So that's her approach to marketing her product. Let's see, I think, let's think example, you're in the gas station and you come in there to get something to drink. I might reach for one of those just because of the cool packaging. Probably gonna cost me more, but it's a cool bottle. So I'm getting something a little more there. Let's see what else I had on here. Oh, I thought these were cool. Tissues in the shape of melon cut slices. I would probably pay a little more to have that sitting on my desk. And then marketing, who would have guessed that beer, we would associate beer with horse and a puppy? What kind of marketing, that is some marketing right there. Somehow or another they make us feel good about beer. Location and distribution. How are you going to get your product to the customer? Where are you going to do business? And how are you going to get it to them? Are you going to do festivals? Are you going to have a storefront? Are you going to be selling online? We need to know that, and that's going to be in your business plan. Customer service, we've talked about this. We all agree that we have all quit doing business with an organization solely because of customer service. Surveys show that people will pay more for better customer service. They have facts to back that up, okay? 68% of people who leave a business do so because of poor customer service. And it costs you 5 to 6 times more to attract new customers than keep existing ones. And how about the old saying of an unhappy customer will tell 10 people? What do they do now? They tweet it, they Facebook it. And the average person, I don't know how many friends average on Facebook. I can tell you one thing, my mother lives on Facebook, and and she's probably watching this now, hi Mom? She lives on Facebook, and she had a credit union make her upset. And I was like, oh boy. And she put it on there. She called them out on Facebook and said, I'm tempted to move all my accounts. So don't think that someone doesn't have access to those. They may not, but maybe their spouse does or their children do. So, and I do a lot of mine right there on my phone when I'm in a restaurant. If the service is good, I will check in while I'm sitting there at that restaurant and say what good service I'm having. And then all my friends see that. So I wanted to mention to you that we do a customer service training, and we have one coming up on February 11th from 10 to noon. And we do this one, it's called Give 'em the Pickle. I don't know if any of you all have seen it, but it's about an hour and a half training. And it's based on service, attitude, consistency, and teamwork. If you have any employees that you would like to have attend that, feel free to have them come. We have it at our agency here in Abingdon.
And March the 11th here, the new knowledge will be
Oh, yeah.
customer service and the folks at Food City that do their training It's the March the 11th, here from noon until 1:30, March the 11th.
That'd be great for you to send employees if you have employees that work for you, as well as yourself, but, because your employees are the face of your are the face of your business, so it's very important that they're providing the level of customer service that your customers expect. Do what?
So bring your lunch.
Oh, and bring your lunch, yeah, it's, real easy to come to those noontime things, because you can eat while you're watching, which I love to do. 7 out of 10 complaining customers will do business again with you if you resolve the issue in their favor. If you resolve it on the spot, 95% of them will do business with you again. People do not expect you to be perfect. They just expect you to take care of a problem if it comes up, right? All right, I want to talk to you about some marketing strategies that you can incorporate in your business plan. We don't really have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is, how well are we going to do it? So, have any of you all thought about how you're going to promote your business? Are you going to use social media? Yep. I have a couple of nodded heads. All right. So here are some of the avenues that you can promote your business. And the really cool thing about these is most of them are free. And unless you have a huge marketing budget, this might be the route that you're going to need to go to market your business. So in your business plan, show us that you have looked at some ideas and that you are going to utilize some of these. 93% of marketers are using social media for business. 70% of brand marketers view social media as valuable for building brand awareness. 93% of small businesses say social media is an effective marketing tool. I have encountered several small businesses that Facebook is the only, that and word of mouth, which social media is basically word of mouth on steroids, isn't it? If somebody's happy with your business, they're going to post a picture on Facebook, and then all their friends are going to see it, and it goes viral. So, for any of you all that don't, I'm sorry, there we go. You can create a Facebook page, and make sure that you do it as a page and not as an individual, so that people can like your page instead of having to become friends with you. That was the way you used to have to do it. Now you can create a page, and you do it down at the bottom down there. And I'm going to show you some businesses that are doing a really good job using Facebook. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Baby Cakes here in Abingdon. Look how many, she's got 7,000, when I took this, 7,762 likes for a small little place in Abingdon. That's impressive. And the way that she uses Facebook, it's not enough just to create a page. You have got to give people a reason to like your page, okay? And what she does that I think is pretty clever is she posts pictures like this. So she says, start your morning off with fresh cinnamon rolls and a hot cup of coffee. This is another strategy she uses. She posts pictures of lunch menu, and she posts that about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And that's the time my stomach's grumbling, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I'll try that out. Another thing she does, and other restaurants I know have done this, is they may say, what she has done in the past is have a cupcake of the day. So let's say it's red velvet. If you come in and say the name of the cupcake, red velvet, you get a free cupcake. So what's that costing her? While supplies last, she says, so she can make 2 dozen cupcakes. When I go in to get that cupcake, am I just going to get that cupcake and leave? You all, if any of you know how cheap I am, you probably say, yeah, but no. I'd feel guilty. So I would have to get my kids' cupcakes too. And I would probably eat lunch while I was in there. And I probably wouldn't go by myself. So you can see how that could create some business for her. And it cost her nothing more than the cost of the cupcakes that she made. Here's the girl that I told you that won the challenge in November. Main Street Pizzeria and Grill in Hayside. And I'm thrilled with her. She's doing a really good job of posting pictures and making me hungry every day. Now she's doing breakfast. This wasn't even, I don't think she originally had that in her business plan. So she's expanded and has a breakfast menu now. And another thing that you're going to be able to do on Facebook, and a lot of these, is you're going to be able to get reviews. So people have given her, she's got 5 out of 5 stars out of 38 reviews. So this is another thing people look at. They look, I know I do, if I'm gonna try a new place to eat, I look at the reviews. And she's posting pictures of her pizza. This is Clinch River Adventures, Terry Funk's place. She was in the challenge that they did in Lebanon last year, and she was a second place winner. And she said that Facebook is pretty much all she's doing, that and word of mouth. And the way that she's building her Facebook audience is when a group of people come together, she has you get together and take one serious picture and one silly picture. And what do you think people are doing when she does this and she posts it on her page? They're sharing it. And that's how she's building excitement and getting more people to come. So there's all kinds of creative things that you can do to build your audience. Are any of you all using Pinterest or aware of Pinterest? All right, I got some pinners in here. All right. Pinterest is like window shopping online. And I'm skimming through these because we're going to have, I think we'll have more on the marketing on February 24th, but I wanted to give you some ideas of things that you could put in your business plan to show that you're marketing. 80% of pinners are women. Now, you may think, well, you know, my product, I don't know that I'm necessarily targeting towards women, but then I'll ask you, do you think women have any influence over what's purchased in the home?
Yes.
A little bit. Do they have any influence over where people go on vacation? What they're going to cook, eat, go buy, pretty much anything. I say that jokingly because I feel like they have at least 50% of the say in what's bought in the home. And Pinterest referrals spend 70% more money than visitors referred from non-social channels. That's big. When you're trying to find, when you're trying to drive consumers or customers to your website or to your place, it's gradually becoming the Google of the visual web. I do that now, and I'm going to show you some examples of how it works. For those of you who are not familiar with Pinterest, I always struggle with the best way because it's like this utopia to me. I just love it. And anybody that uses it understands what I'm talking about. But it's almost like a wish list or a to-do list or a shopping list or any number of ways you could describe it. So what I do is I create boards on Pinterest. So these are my boards, and I created them. I can name them whatever I want to name them. I put products I love, clothes for the home, whatever. Now, while I'm on Pinterest, I can search for anything I want to search for. So I can type in up here at the top, home and bathroom improvements, because I'm redoing a bathroom. And look at these beautiful pictures that come up. So let's say I decide, wow, I like that one. I can click on that one, and I have options now. I can pin it for later. I may put it on my bathroom board. I may email it to my contractor, or maybe I want to go right there and find out who can do that bathroom for me. It took me right to the website to where I can call them up and say, hey, how much is that bathroom? And then I'll choke and hang up because it's probably ridiculous amount. But you can see the purpose there was to drive me to where I can make that purchase. So utilize that, and it's free. It's just another way to have a presence out there online and get your product or service out in front of people. Are any of you all thinking that you'll sell your products on Etsy? Yes? Yes? All right, just to give you kind of a summary on Etsy. You can sell 3 different types of things on Etsy. It has to be handmade or vintage. And isn't it scary that vintage is 20 years or older? Yeah. Or supplies to make handmade products. Things you cannot sell. This is Sandy's slide. Guns or weapons, alcohol, pornography. You can sell body parts, no body parts except for hair and teeth. You can sell hair and teeth.
Oh, I can sell people's hair.
There you go. That'll be a way to, that's a whole nother market there, isn't it? Yeah. Here you've been sweeping that up, throwing it away, and you can sell it on Etsy. I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, there's a couple things about Etsy that I like. One, you can have an online store automatically. You create a store. And any item you list, it's 20 cents to list it. It stays on there automatically for 3 months. And what I did is I found 2 different Etsy stores just to give you kind of an idea. This is one of the top Etsy stores, and she makes these little hair tie, or the head bandanas, the leg warmers, scarves, and hers called 3 Bird Nest. Her average sales per month are $2,300 at $28 a piece and $65,000 a month. Have you ever seen those little appliques that they put in nurseries? They're real popular, where you put the name, or you can see the different examples here. This guy's selling his 365 of those per month at $100 each. That comes out to $36,500. Depending on your product, it may be an avenue for you to sell. Something for you to think about. eBay is another option. For small businesses, I mentioned that especially if you have old inventory that maybe it's last year's stuff and you weren't able to get rid of it. Something you could do. Or maybe you want to sell on there, just to supplement your walk-in traffic. I sell a lot of stuff on eBay. People make fun of me because and my kids are afraid to leave anything laying around, because if I get a hold of it, I'm liable to sell it on eBay. You set up a profile picture, you tell about your business here, you can put a little picture in the back, add a cover. I just put a sky on there, but you could put whatever you wanted to personalize it. And I like to brag about my lunchbox. This is an old lunchbox I sold for $117. I just threw that in there because it was a Planet of the Apes lunchbox, but you'd be amazed at what people will buy on eBay. If it's broken, it doesn't matter, as long as you tell them it's broken. So maybe you even have damaged merchandise you might want to try to sell on eBay. You never know. Just another avenue for you. How many of you all are on LinkedIn? Okay. I like LinkedIn for several reasons. One, it builds credibility. If you're trying to get me to, or trying to get my business, if I can go on LinkedIn and check out your credentials, I might feel a little more comfortable about doing that. Here's my LinkedIn profile. Now you can add actually a photo or a cover photo in the back to dress it up a little bit. Some other things that are cool on LinkedIn is people can endorse you. Okay, so if you're telling me that you're really good at something and I go on there and I don't see a single person that has ever endorsed you for that, I might be a little apprehensive. But if I see, yeah, wow, he must really know his stuff, because look at all these people. And turns out I might even know some of the people that have endorsed him. Okay, how many of you all have a stack of these with a rubber band around them? That's another thing that I use LinkedIn for. I like to build my network, and so what I'll do is anytime I'm at, say, a chamber event, and I want to build my LinkedIn network, instead of taking that business card wad and putting it in the desk drawer like we all do, I'll go on there and try to connect with people on there, and then that way, hopefully, if they're wanting my services, they know that they can find me on there because we're connected on there. Make sense?
Is LinkedIn a better one for business to business?
Yes.
I've just never seen it used for business to consumer.
It is for business to business. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're wanting to target alpha resources, okay? Probably wouldn't work for your business necessarily, but let's just say that it would. It's something, that service that you offer. And you're trying to get the purchasing agent, get a connection. You've called and you're just not, they're just like, no, they won't return your calls or what have you. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you could search that business name and you may have connections with people that work there that you didn't even realize that you did. And so maybe you could get them to introduce you to that key person at that business. So that's one way that you could use it. Has anyone else had any success with LinkedIn?
I would tell some of my other clients, they've had successful, they may have fallen out with their supplier, they thought they were getting really screwed pretty bad. They get on LinkedIn and find some groups or posts in similar industry and get input from folks on maybe it's another supplier, and that's helped them a whole lot.
You can do it faster on Google search?
Well, see, they've had experience with these suppliers, so they're giving you firsthand testimonials or recommendations for folks. And a lot of times I look at LinkedIn before I go to meet with a client, just to try to get an idea of their experience and the type of business and so forth that they're in.
It's kind of a credibility builder, I think.
They also have business groups, so, you know, it's using, if you sign up for a group that is like businesses, those are a great place to put the brands of your competitor, non-competitors that far enough away that want to help them.
Just out of curiosity, how did you find out about the challenge?
Mine was, the TV,
Newspaper?
Facebook.
I got an email from Mr. McGovern.
That's fun.
I found out through the small business.
Good. Plus, you never know where we're touching.
What's working, yeah.
We've tried a little bit of everything, you know, we got a big budget.
And that leads into a good point. When you have your business, ask your customer, where did you hear about me? It's not rocket science. You can have just a pad of paper by the cash register. And when I was at the car dealership, well, you know, car dealerships spend a ton of money on marketing. And we were like, how can we find out? I wonder where they heard about us. Well, here's a bright idea. When they're paying for the car, we're going to ask them where they heard about us. And we just kept a written log. And at the end of the month, hey, the newspaper was working, or direct mail was working. Or referrals. Maybe we need to implement a better referral. You know, maybe if it is word of mouth, maybe we tell our customers, you refer somebody, we'll give you $25 or what have you. Don't be afraid to ask. Where did you hear about
Speaking
us?
of the newspaper, if you want to bring your lunch tomorrow, we're having Jim Maxwell, who's the regional publisher of Bristol Bowl Courier, to lead a session, the new knowledge session on how to write a press release and get it in print. And that's from 12 to 1:30 right here in this room. So
Bring your
I
lunch.
encourage you, we're lucky to get Jim.
I know, I hate I'm
do
missing that.
And if you can't make it, it'll be live streamed.
Yes.
Sweet, I need to watch that one.
Where do you find the live stream?
You can go to Facebook or you can Google Tri-Cities Entertainment Live, and it'll come up with my Facebook page, which has all the links to it.
And there's a link on the Washington County Challenge Facebook page too.
Which reminds me of something else. I like when people talk because it gives me a minute for my brain to catch up to my mouth sometimes. The challenge that we had just finished, it is on mysouthwestvirginia.org. If you click on the blog link, like the girl that did the pizza presentation, she's on there. And there's, I think, 3 or 4 on there. And there's some from last year's challenge. So if you want to get on your presentation, if you want to get some idea of how they did it, that's a good thing for you to look at. Are any of you all tweeting? Some? Okay. How would you use Twitter? Gosh, that's hard to see for me. I don't know if it is for you guys. 72% of people post personal updates. 62% post work updates. I like Twitter for sales, especially around the holidays. Businesses will do one-day sales on there, and I take advantage of that. There is actually a yellow pages for Twitter. It's called Twello. So when you get your business up and going, or if you have a business, I would encourage you to get it registered on there. It's free. So if someone is trying to find your business, that they would be able to do that. YouTube. Are any of you all planning on using that for your business, or have you used it for your business? Yes. How are you going to use it?
Well, my business is going to be a private tutoring and educational business, so I'll put on sample lessons.
Perfect.
Here's how I approach this problem.
Perfect.
For more information, hire me.
I like it.
We're gonna use GoPro cameras and sell the SDs to just email customers.
Yep.
And hoping that what they're gonna do is they're gonna wanna show their friends.
Yep.
They'll go to YouTube because that's the easy spot for them to put the information, and they'll do all the self-promotion.
Perfect. Yeah, I like it. Anybody else?
Here's an example of the firm that we met in Allegheny County that he didn't think he had any videos of.
Yeah, he said, I wouldn't know how to do that. And during break, Sandy said, well, let's see if anybody's, that you've taken on fly fishing, and he taught fly fishing took people on fly fishing tours. Turns out there were all kinds of videos of his business on YouTube. People had videoed being on his tours, so he already had material there that he could use. And you can link this to your website, to your Facebook page, and the likelihood of you coming up in a Google search is higher if you have video content out on the web. Here's an example of, I think I typed, this is the Creeper Trail. These are people that have been out on the Creeper Trail and they videotaped it. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there. I think Abingdon Tourism, I used all kinds of videos on there. And Abingdon, Virginia, I just typed in Abingdon, Virginia. Go on there and see what other people have done with the same type of business that you have. You'd be surprised the ideas that you would come up with. And this guy, I'm not going to show him tonight, but if you want to see a cute video, this thing's been shown over or viewed over 15 million times, and he's a taxidermist. And he's made like a 30-second YouTube video. He uses humor. One of the things about YouTube videos or any videos, you want to keep them short because people's attention spans are tiny. Unless it's an instructional type thing or a how-to thing, then it's okay to go longer. But you need to get that message out probably within 30 seconds if you can, ideally, because people, they've got too much going on. They're not going to pay attention. But that's a good one to watch if you want to see an example of how an entrepreneur has used YouTube. Now, mentioning YouTube, in order to have a YouTube account, you need to have a Google account. And you get some perks with having a Google account, one being having access to YouTube now. Another thing is Google Places. If you're going to have a brick and mortar location, make sure that you've claimed your place on Google Places. And just to find it, just Google Places and you'll get there. Make sure that you are claiming that. I've had situations where I've looked for a business and it turns out that the address was wrong or the phone number was wrong, and people are using this right here anytime they're looking for anything, and 9 times out of 10 they're Googling it. So make sure that you claim that.
Do you need to register with Google, is that what you're saying?
Yes, get a Google account, which basically just means getting a Gmail account, as far as I know, right, Sandy?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not a techie person. If I can do this, anybody can do it, promise you. Just have a Gmail account, Gmail email account, and then you'll have access to all this stuff because you'll log in using that Gmail account with a password. If you've got one, then all you do is go to these then and set these up. Okay, so example, this is something that I might do and have done. Restaurants near me, Google that. So see what comes up. All these different restaurant choices, and it shows the reviews. And you notice some of them don't have a photo on there. So I would encourage you to make sure that you have something on there. Maybe a logo, if depending on your business. Now, if you're running your business out of your home, and you don't want people coming, no. I don't want you to do that. Don't do Google Places. But if you have a place you want them to come, then by all means do that. Yelp is another one. TripAdvisor is another one. Depending on what your business is, this may be applicable to you. I just went to a restaurant in Marion Saturday, and we were trying to decide. There were 2 restaurants in Marion, new ones that we wanted to try. And I decided on which one I was going to go on based on what the Yelp reviews were. Those are real life people like you and I have gone on there and said what they had and whether it was good or not and how the service was. And it was accurate. It's even what I ordered on the menu was based off what they said was good on there.
So you have to create an account for Yelp also, right?
Yes. And TripAdvisor.
But really, when you're talking about social media, that really goes back to your audience, because if you're on Facebook, there's a certain age group that's on Facebook. There's also an age group that's on Twitter, Instagram. So that goes back to your target.
Determining who your market is, absolutely. Because you can't do all of these. It's going to be too much. And unless you're just going to be sitting in front of a computer all the time, it's going to be about impossible. Because you're going to be trying to take care of your employees, your customers, and your bookkeeping and everything. It's going to be too much. So that's why like Sandy said, that's why I had you in the beginning. Who is your customer? And where will you find those customers? Based on the demographics of that customer.
And you ought to mention too, there's some new things that's coming out called geofencing, that using your customers can use their smartphone, and you have this set up, and it will put a perimeter around your business, so when that customer's walking by your business, you can have a pop-up come up on their smartphone that says, hey, come in, and you'll get 10% off on your purchases. So there's some cool trends out there, and marketing is just, you've gotta do your homework.
What was that called again?
Geofencing, G-O-F-N, geographic fencing.
Oh, okay, here's an example. I put restaurants in, it can determine your location if you give it access to your location, the Yelp app, and then it tells me which restaurants are near me and what the reviews of those restaurants are. I use this a lot when I'm traveling. So if you're doing tourist, any type of business where you're gonna have people from out of town, this is a good one to use. Okay, now there's some local initiatives that are going on. Some of these you may have heard of, some you may not have. Make sure if your business falls within any of these categories, you will want to try to partner with these because these are initiatives that are already going on. There's a big push to have Southwest Virginia become an outdoor destination for recreation because of our natural resources. And My Southwest Virginia, that's the website that I told you. If you go to, you can see some presentations from the other challenge participants. The Crooked Road, if you're doing anything that's related to music, I would encourage you to check that initiative out. Round the Mountain, if you're doing anything that's involved with crafts or art. Spearhead Trails, have you heard about it? It's one of the latest things coming. They just opened a trail in Pocahontas. A lot of excitement and activity going on. There's ATV trails. It's not something that I would want to do, but apparently that's something that a lot of people are interested in. And it is growing, and they're going to keep opening these trails, and it's going to become connected eventually. I'm not sure where the next one is supposed to. Do you know, Sandy? I know they were working on Hayes, Buchanan, Dickinson, but I don't think it's ready. Is it going to be St. Paul, or St. Paul just did theirs?
Yeah, Spirit Trails through St. Paul.
Can't remember where the last. It's kind of.
Lee County?
I don't know. I can't remember. It's getting late. My brain starts to shut down. The Clinch River, the towns around the Clinch River is another initiative. This one's the one associated with the outdoor tourism. Virginia's for Lovers, they will put your link to your business on their website. That's another free way for you to market. And then this is something cool that's happening June 12th to the 20th. The Crooked Road is sponsoring a Mountains of Music homecoming, and they're going to go out. They're going to go on a trail through Southwest Virginia, and that may be something that you'll be interested in finding out about. Go to that website, and you can see the trail that they're going to follow. And then the last thing, we are bringing it home now. I wanted to mention to you, and Sandy mentioned it briefly, is selling to the state of Virginia. The state of Virginia is a huge customer. They have colleges, they have jails, they have VDOT, and they spend a lot of money. $45 billion is what they spent last year. So if your product or service is something that the state would use, don't overlook that as being a big customer base for you. And it could be anything from repairs to, we had one entrepreneur who won a bid for bottled water for something that the governor was having. She went to Sam's and bought the bottled water and took it up there and made a profit off of it. So, I mean, it's catering, anything like that. Sandy's the resident expert on that. That's why I've got her contact information down there.
Auto repair, we've got state vehicles have to be serviced, so you gotta get SWAN certified.
And there's
We buy
Catering, yeah.
And that's where the partnership, if you know somebody's doing a lot of catering and they wanna buy, pastries and so forth, I would connect them and do some partnerships. That's another thing people need to look at too, like, everybody heard Stanley Steamers? Okay, when Stanley Steamers got on, EVA, they signed up not only as providing cleaning services directly, but they put themselves in there as contractors. So what they did was whenever there was a big contract going out, they would go to pre-bid conferences and network with all those contractors vying for that project, putting their business cards out there, and they ended up selling more as a third-party contractor to the state than they did direct. And it's all how you work it. It's not just sign it, register and think that the business is going to come in. You still have to get registered. But there's also some, as I mentioned earlier when I spoke, there's some opportunities for small businesses, micro businesses, special set aside. So
Yeah, they want the state to purchase from small businesses. We had an entrepreneur that had a small business where he and his family would clean offices after hours, and he was on EVA. He won a bid to do the construction cleanup for a prison that had just recently been built. And he had to come to us to get a business loan because he was like, oh my gosh, I've won this bid and I've got to hire people, I've got to get another van, and because it was like, whoa, that was a big leap for him, but it put him up to the next level. So you'd be surprised how that can help you. So check into that, and if you need assistance with that, Sandy's your woman on that. She can help you. Then I've got my contact information up here. We have a Facebook page. So if you have Facebook, if you could like our page, People Incorporated of Virginia, and the reason that I say that is because any workshops or anything that we have, we put them on there. My email is up there if you want that template that I mentioned to you about the Excel spreadsheet. And then also, you know how these challenges are being held in each locality? We are going to have one that launches on March 12th in Russell and Tazewell. If you have any friends or family that are looking to start a business in Russell or Tazewell, we also are launching one on April 7th in Wise in the city of Norton, and then one on May 7th in Lee and Scott. So if you know anybody that's wanting to do what you're doing tonight, I have information on that here. Feel free to take that with you. Let's see, do we have any, I guess questions would be a good time. Are there any questions? Yes.
SLAM certified, what did you mean by that?
it's called small and/or woman and/or minority-owned business. Small in Virginia, the definition currently is 250 employees or less and no more than 10 million in sales. And then a micro business is no more than 25 employees, and I think it's 2 million per year in sales.
And it's or. You don't have to meet all three of those criteria. If you meet one of those, then you would qualify to be SLAM
Virginia
certified.
has to purchase at least 40% of that, their purchasing annually to SLAM certified vendors.
So you just go on the site and you get certified.
You have to go and get registered, and then the certification can take 6 weeks to 2 months to do, because they have to verify that you are a small business, and if you're woman-owned, they have to verify all of that. And then you have to be SLAM certified before you can get micro. And the only time you're charged, it's nothing to be on the system, but when you sell something to Commonwealth, they charge 1% of the total invoice, up to $500 max. So when you're doing your bids, you just need to keep in the back of your mind, 1%.
Any other questions? It's hard to sit, and I know, late at night, if you are like me and working all day and then you come at night, it's tough, I know. But if you think of anything, you've got my contact information. I will be back here next Tuesday. Tom and I will be splitting that presentation. I'm going to talk about credit, and Tom's going to talk about running a business. So bring your questions for us next week if you think of anything. Anything else, Sandy?
Just take advantage, don't forget your list of mentors is in your notebook, and reach out to these folks. Don't wait until the night before your business plan is due. Tom will not give you extra points for that. Actually, he'll probably lock his door. And there's a lot of free workshops going on here every Wednesday at noon, all the way through May. So take advantage of these opportunities
course, they can sort it. Right,
And if you're looking for something in particular, and you don't know exactly where it is, call Sandy, call me, call Chamber, say, where can I get this information? Be more than happy.
He's a really good speaker.
Yeah.
Thanks for the first time.
Good job, guys. I will collect my fancy calculators unless you need it.